Picture this. You step out of your front door. The wind brushes your face. But this time, it's different. You don't just feel the wind, you become part of it. With a single thought, your feet leave the ground. Slowly at first, but then faster. Higher. You are flying. Human wings spread wide, cutting through the air like a bird in the open sky. Imagine, just for a moment, what it would be like if humans could fly like birds. In every age, humans have looked up at the sky with wonder. Birds soaring above us, navigating vast distances with ease. What if this ancient dream were no longer just a fantasy? What if the very laws of nature, the laws that bind us to the ground, suddenly allowed us to break free? How would our lives change? How would the world transform? We've spent thousands of years tethered to the Earth. From the first flight of the Wright brothers to the technology that sends us into space, we've tried everything to overcome gravity. But what if, instead of machines, we could harness the same power birds do? Let's explore the possibilities of a world where humans can fly, where we take to the skies as naturally as we walk on the ground. Birds are built for flight. Their bones are light, their wings powerful, their muscles specialized for rapid, controlled movement. They have a unique ability to master the air with precision, using lift, thrust, and aerodynamics to stay aloft for hours at a time. But humans, we are different. Our bones are dense, our muscles are strong, but we have no wings, no natural instinct for flight. Our bodies simply aren't designed for it. Yet for the sake of imagination, let's assume that somehow humans could defy these limits. The first challenge, our anatomy. The human body as we know it isn't equipped for flight. The average human weighs significantly more than a bird. Even the strongest humans have muscle mass that, in theory, could not generate enough force to lift us off the ground. But what if? What if our bodies were somehow altered? Wings, similar to those of a bird, sprouted from our backs. Muscles and bones adapted to the immense strain of flight. What would this look like? How would it change our relationship with the earth and the air around us? Imagine a world where every human, from the young to the old, had wings, perfectly designed for flight. These wings would likely need to be large, covering at least 30% of our body mass, with powerful muscles capable of thrusting us upwards. In order to achieve the lift necessary for flight, our bodies would have to be significantly altered. Our bones might become lighter, more hollow to reduce weight, but stronger to support the intense forces generated while flying. We would need a vast increase in muscle power. Our upper bodies would likely develop massive, powerful shoulders, capable of flapping wings with immense force. The demands on our hearts and lungs would be extreme, requiring higher oxygen intake to fuel those muscles. So, we've got wings. We've got the strength to fly, but what next? The capabilities of flight would redefine how we experience the world. Transportation? Gone. No need for cars, planes, or trains. People would zip through the air, bypassing traffic, flying from one city to another in mere hours. Think of the time saved, the freedom, but there's more. The environment would transform. No longer bound by streets or highways, entire cities would be designed differently. Buildings would stretch higher into the sky, accommodating the new flow of airborne humans. Parks would no longer be confined to the ground. They would float, suspended in midair. The very notion of space would change. Think of how social interactions would evolve. Would we gather in the same way, on benches and in cafes, or would we meet high above, on floating platforms, in the air? The consequences of human flight wouldn't be limited to our cities. The natural world would be reshaped. Think of the migration, patterns of birds. Entire species of animals rely on the landscape below to guide them. With human flight, this landscape would become a new world of limitless possibilities, but also new challenges. The ecological balance would shift. No longer would the ground be the primary habitat for most animals. The sky would become an ever busier space, with wildlife and humans vying for space in the heavens. But how would this impact the environment? Could we, like birds, navigate this new territory without causing disruption? The sense of unity and community would also evolve. Imagine being able to fly in perfect formation, like birds in a V-shaped flock. Humans would learn to navigate the air together, developing a new kind of coordination. No more isolation. Everyone could be together, united in the skies, but there would be dangers too. What would it mean to have collisions in midair? Without proper regulations, the skies could become as chaotic as the roads are today, and then, the weather. Birds can fly through storms, but they rely on instinct and centuries of evolutionary refinement to do so. Humans would have to master the elements. Thunderstorms, strong winds, and even turbulence could pose serious risks. The ability to fly would come with its own set of challenges. There would be no more shelter when it rains, no more cover from the sun. Every flight would need careful planning and understanding of the skies. In a world where humans could fly, everything would change. Travel would no longer be defined by distance. The concept of time would shift. Flying for hours would become the new norm. Our cities would grow taller, our landscapes would evolve, and the very concept of freedom would take on new meaning. But what's the bigger picture? What does this new world tell us? Human flight would push the boundaries of our capabilities, just as the Wright brothers did over a century ago. It would challenge our understanding of nature, our place in the ecosystem, and how we coexist with the planet. It would force us to rethink not just how we move, but how we live. If we could fly like birds, would we truly be free? Or would we be prisoners of the skies, forever bound by the weight of our own evolution? As the world spins below us, the question remains, could we ever handle the freedom of flight? And if we could, would we use it for good, or would the skies become just another battleground in the struggle for survival? What if we could fly like birds? The answer is still up in the air. Stay tuned for our next what if scenario.